everybody. John Wright here. I'm the Director of Public Relations for Hardin County Schools, and we are in the brand new East Hardin Middle School, although it's really not that brand new anymore. We've been in it now since, I guess, January of 2022, and we are ready, believe it or not, to start the 22-23 school years. We tape this, we're just a couple of weeks away from doing that, about 3 weeks away, really, from doing that. And as we start every school year, it's an honor to sit down with our superintendent, Mrs. Terry Morgan, and just talk about some of the successful things we had last school year, and then some of the wonderful and exciting things that are going to take place this school year. So we'll be hanging out with Ms. Morgan for the next 30 minutes, and I always joke with you, Terry, it's kind of like our State of the District interview. I'm not sure that that's a great way to do that, but
I think that's awesome.
Yeah. So, but anyway, you know, the ugliness of COVID is behind us, thankfully. And
thankfully, yes.
In March of 2020, we thought we would just be out of sorts for a couple of weeks, and I think we're just now getting back.
We are just getting back, and you know, it's been phenomenal to see the response of our staff, our students. Yes, COVID happened, but we took the approach last year. We would be in school every day until we absolutely couldn't. And our teachers and our staff, our custodians, bus drivers were all so important to make that happen. And we only missed 2 days, and that was just because the attendance was so poor at that point that we had that necessity, but the rest of the time we rocked it for the entire year. So just incredibly appreciative to everyone that made that possible.
You know, opening up NTI and going through the experiences that we never had gone through before, that was certainly demanding. But I think, and I think you'll agree with me on this, that last school year, the 21-22 school year, was probably more demanding just because there was so much and we were trying to be back in school all the time. And I heard several teachers say it was really last year that was even more demanding because in all effect, we were down a year, or down half a year.
Right. Well, and when you look at it, you knew you had to be closed the previous year. There were so many unknowns. And then honestly, you began the controversy, should we be in school, not in school? And a lot of people were not sure because we were just getting differing thoughts on that. And so that added stress, you know, to the staff of how to make sure they were meeting the needs of the students. We started a virtual academy in Hardin County for those students whose parents felt it was better for those students to be at home. The neat thing about that is we had parents requesting a virtual school for years, and this just expedited that. So we now offer that option, and you know, we don't have a lot of students taking that option, but it's available. We definitely feel that in person, in school is the very best decision for our students, and that's what the majority of people are choosing. So COVID expedited some of the practices. We knew we needed to get better at technology. Well, guess what? We did that overnight, and now just how to back out and get back to solid instruction or continue with that solid instruction with great things we have happening in Hardin County.
Right. And technology, that's the way of the world now. You know, I know we all still have Google Meets, even though we can go see people now, but it's things we learned so much about ourselves during that time.
Well, what you learned is that there's multiple ways, and you still find the way that you're most comfortable with. I was in Frankfurt numerous times for the construction bill that was passed, and when there were a few opportunities for us to meet online, I enjoyed that, but I will tell you that in person, having that dialogue back and forth was very, very special. And that, I think that's what our students see is those computers were great, but man, I want to be at a table with my friends. I want to have open discussion and do that have that rich environment. As
a longtime teacher, what kind of grade would you give us on how we got through COVID?
My goodness, I would say our staff absolutely deserves an A+, excellent, depending on what grade level you're at, above average.
Right.
I think if you were on, what's those, where you grade 5 stars, 4
Yes,
stars.
yes,
If you're
the
on
movies.
Travelocity, buddy, we're at that 5-star mark. And again, that was because of the staff and how dedicated they were. And when we talk about our staff, you have to know child nutrition workers. They had to do things differently last year. Our bus drivers, they had to do things differently. Our custodians, our teachers, everyone just worked together to make sure we did best by our students.
Instruction is it's what we do. Keeping people safe while we're doing it is certainly important, but instruction is what we do. To hear Mr. Sutton say, our Chief Academic Officer, and you've said it several times, that we are back to pre-pandemic levels. I mean, just to hear the words "we are back." I mean, instructionally, where we were, that's wonderful.
Yes. So we started a new assessment this past year called iReady. And when we initially took that test back in the fall, we were like, oh my goodness, we have so much learning to accomplish. And then after we did it after winter break, we were like, man, our staff is rocking this. And then by the end of the year, we saw 40, 50, 60% growth. I think at kindergarten level, we saw 83% growth. And so it's amazing how far we were able to take those students. And again, that's that hard work and dedication from our teachers. And a lot of that is the parents. They realized they needed to do more at home, and they stepped up and they did that. So just incredibly impressed with that. So now we don't want to say we're pre-pandemic. We want to say we're on that coaster, to be a number 1 in the state. And with the hard work and dedication, we truly believe we can make that happen.
What other things do you credit Terry for that hard work? I mean, for those big jumps.
I really think we did a lot of assessments last year. We went in and looked at what each student needed, and then our teachers made plans to challenge those students. We increased GT services. We had students looking at those who were struggling, and we had remediation teachers to work with those students. And we saw just an incredible number of students who just needed a few skills to get them on grade level, and just all of that individual attention, which is what we want all of our students to have. They just did a remarkable job with that. And when you start planning for individual students and what they need, and my philosophy is know the name and need of every student and act accordingly. Well, our teachers knocked it out of the park when it was act accordingly. They knew what the students needed, and they made sure that happened.
And so much goes on emotionally with children with social emotional needs. We've gotten some help with that with our friends from Cumberland Health, but our staff has really taken, like you said, even more, not that they didn't have it before, but even more of a stronger value on what's going on in that child's life to help them overcome their classroom obstacles. Right.
And when they come through the board, you see come through the door, you have teachers asking them, how are you? Not, do you have your homework? How are things going for you today? Some of our teachers took mindful minutes. They set the tone for their day by having a calm introduction for the students when they came through the door. When mistakes would happen, they would take that mindful minute of let's think through that process and what could we do differently. So we really tried to be more proactive with our students and realize that some of them came with stress and anxiety based on what had happened the past 2 years. And I really want to comment all of our people who work together. We not only had Cumberland Health, but we had many outside agencies coming into the schools to help. But then every day, our classroom assistants, our teachers, our child nutrition would take ownership of students, making sure they were okay, not only academically, but socially as well.
Right, because you can't fix what you don't know about, and you got to dig in. Yeah. Children are like an onion. I've heard you say many times. You got to peel back the layers.
And you've got to create those relationships. So when you give them that opportunity to share a little bit about themselves, and teachers and staff share about them, those students pick up, oh, they're like me, and they're more willing to share. So those relationships are incredibly important.
So how do we continue that growth into the 22-23 school year? When you're number 1, now you got to maintain number 1.
It was funny at Central Office the other day. Miss Sutton over our Family Resource Center, she goes, they're acting like school's starting, next week, and we still have a month. And I said, I think it's because everyone is so excited about the potential of this school year. That we doubled the number of students requesting to be in our law classes, to become attorneys, lawyers,
law enforcement officers.
Law enforcement officers, all of those pathways our students are just really involved in. Our construction management, many more students involved in that, to the point we've had to hire additional teachers in each of those. We also have incredible growth in our early college academy, and to see the number of students who made the dean's list this past year through all of that was just simply amazing. I think overall a 3.6 GPA. Those of you who have ever sent freshmen off to college, you realize how important that 3.6 is that freshman year, and yet our students continue to do that. And we had over 100 students graduating with their associate's degree this year. So as you said, how do we continue to top that? We continue to do great instruction. We continue to increase opportunities for our students.
Right. Talked about you talked about a couple of those pathways. You talked about law enforcement growing. You talked about construction management growing, and a new pathway this year with cosmetology, a partnership with Campbellsville University.
Yes, Campbellsville University, which I found interesting, did not know they had a cosmetology pathway, but the number of students who have demonstrated interest in that, both males and females, just tells you that expanding those opportunities is what we need to continue to do. And interesting, that's something our community said we need as well. So I guess maybe during COVID we found out those haircuts and those colors were really important to a lot of people. So again, we're about offering opportunities to our students.
This year we've taken, in the off time or the summer, I've heard the terms project-based learning thrown out a lot. We've talked about that. We kind of piloted a program last year at Bluegrass Middle School.
Yes.
There was a huge professional development opportunity at the beginning of the summer that's centered around project-based learning. Not that we haven't been doing project-based learning up until this point, but we've really kind of stepped on the gas. So talk about that, if you will.
We really have. We call it student-centered learning, which we've always done, but this is a very specific protocol that teachers will follow about finding problems that students face in their daily lives or companies have in their daily business life, and how can we teach our students about going on and solving those problems. And it's not really about solving that specific problem, it's the skills you learn of working with others, communication, starting with the why. So we will be doing a lot of that at all of our schools this year, and that is for grades 4 through 12. And so when your students come home and start talking about these projects that they're doing or problem-based learning activities that they're doing, I use the word activities, but really it is about problem-based lessons that they can learn, the life skills that they will need regardless of what path they take after graduation.
Because I think, you and I have both been in the workplace for a while. We face those, employees just face those every day. So it prepares them for real world stuff.
Yes, if you have a chance to see the Bluegrass video from the students, it is the most amazing video that I personally have watched. They talked about how difficult it was to come to a consensus with a group and everybody be willing to move forward. It wasn't my idea one, it's how can everybody leave here feeling invested and valued, and that's what they learned from that.
Yeah, that would be great if everybody got along, right?
That would be great. Our world would be a better place.
Absolutely. So, the future. I think everybody, the dirty elephant in the snow, to quote my friend Barney Fife, is the growth that's coming. And so we have to, while we are excited about it, we also have to be excited about the current partnerships that we have and the people that have already provided so many partnerships and so many resources to our students, since day one.
Yes.
And those people. And if I start naming names, I'll leave out somebody. But we have so many wonderful community folks to help us.
We do not understand how lucky, how blessed, how fortunate we are to live in this community of Hardin County, because we have multiple businesses reaching out to us. And last night we had one of our community fest, and there were probably 50 businesses there taking time after their doors have already locked to come and make sure that the community knew about what they offer and what they can offer in schools. And I know we don't want to leave those out, but Abound Credit Union does a financial literacy program for our students. West Banco does the junior leadership and provides all these opportunities for students to know what happens in their community. And I think you've gone on those, and you've always said, I think I learned more than the students learn from this. And then you have, the All Tech Challenge, but even bigger than that, this past year has been those businesses stepping up to take internships and co-op students. And, just today, one shared with us how awesome those students were, and now they see a pipeline for quality workforce, educated quality workforce coming in. Many of those students will go off to college, but those businesses know that they have a lifeline to those students, and they will come back and be productive in this community and spend their time and talents here with us. So we are just incredibly fortunate. As I've gone out to the rest of the state and listened to other superintendents, I just know that we are incredibly blessed to be here in Hardin County.
Well, it's my job to brag, and ultimately yours, but I'm really passionate about it because I think that we are a state leader in realizing that you don't have to go to college to be successful. And I think our community emphasizes that, but we have really listened to that and made those opportunities, blue collar, white collar, whatever collar, to make those opportunities available for our students to where they can succeed at home.
Right, and they can live right here in the community and have a great community to live in. But you're exactly right. Those students who go to college, we of course have jobs for them. Anyone who wants to go into education, we have a job for them if they're a quality teacher. Right. But we also have students who went through our residential maintenance pathway, and No Lynn is thrilled with the students who are coming to be electricians for them and doing the power lines. And you and I both know how important that is with some of the storms we had this year, and looking at those numbers going down on their chart to go, okay, we started out at 2,000 and now we're to 174. I think we can have school. And we realize that there is a pathway. There's not one specific road that will get students to success, and that's what we're offering.
And students, I've likened it to almost like picking a major at the high school level, but we offer ways we realize that they're 13, 14 years old, they're going to change their mind. So we offer ways to cross-reference and to do all kinds of things that you don't have to marry yourself to one thing as a freshman in high school. Yeah.
Well, and I tell parents, I'm waiting for all the thank you notes to roll in because in 6th, 7th, and 8th grade, we are now doing purposeful instruction on all the pathways that exist, not just in Hardin County, but globally. We have a student who's a welder, and she plans to go to Hollywood to do sets and use her creativity for that. But we do know that everyone has an opportunity, and everybody will choose a different path for that.
And that's just part of our diversity and part of our just the wonderful. The staff has sacrificed to learn many things to be able to provide those things, and our staff, and again, our staff is. When I think our staff, I think the word resilience. Yes. And not only of overcoming COVID, but of overcoming. There are new things that they have to learn every year. While also sitting through the same trainings they sit through every year. Yes. But they just continue to bounce back and continue to perform. Each year is better than the year before.
Well, like we're sitting at East Hardin Middle School today. There are 2 trainings happening in this building today. I just left our Early College and Career Center. There are 2 professional development things happening at those buildings. Our teachers will be in training 5 days this week in a training that's called Orton Gillingham, and that is teaching young students how to read. And we just saw enormous gains for those students last year. So our teachers are taking, I know everybody thinks, oh, teachers are off for the summer. No, they're not. They are in trainings this summer, making sure we're up on the latest skills, making sure that we are prepared for the students who come to us next school year. So we just really appreciate their time and dedication. The classroom I went in, they're taking notes, they're testing each other to make sure they're going about it in the right way. Our
early childhood education programs are top notch.
Absolutely.
And Carlina Sharon and her crew, not to point out a specific staff member, but those crews do such an amazing job at creating an educational foundation. And we've always been strong in that area.
Yes. So our preschool program, my children went to preschool, and I cannot tell you what a difference that made for them and increasing their academic success, just from going to preschool. And at that time, you know, it was half days and they would leave at 11 o'clock. I would not trade that for anything in the world. Miss Sharon and her group now, you can always call our central office to ask about testing your student, 3, 4-year-olds. And we have actually been using the Cruising Cafe. They've gone out to communities, and I know recently they were at Rineyville Elementary from about 3 to 8 o'clock at night, and many parents took the opportunity to bring their students in to see if they qualify. We also used the Cruising Cafe near Sonora, and multiple parents stopped by. We were able to test the students. We were able to let the parents know, here's some ideas, here's some activities you can do to have your student to be kindergarten ready, but we also, you know, provided those services. If you want to enroll your child in preschool, we invite you to do so. Last night at our community fest, we had a lot of parents stopping by saying, how do I get this child in school? And they were preschool age, so we were able to share that information with them. So it's like you said, we have written grants to be able to provide more opportunities. We have an outdoor classroom preschool program. Those students are okay with touching frogs, with getting worms, jumping in mud puddles.
Yes.
And so we're just continuing to increase all the experiences that they have, because that's what science is telling us, is that students who come to delayed to school a lot of times have not had the experiences that all the other students have had. So we contributed extra money last year for those students to go on field trips. So I know if you're a grandparent or parent of those children, they came home truly excited about all the trips that they were able to go on. And again, it's about creating those experiences for those students.
We had a lot of summer camps this summer, a lot of STEM camps, a lot of opportunities for children just to really get their hands dirty.
Oh, you know, this was the best summer. That was one of the things we said we wanted to do. We wanted students to be safe, and we wanted them to feel great about being in school. And I have had more compliments from those summer programs. The STEM activities, I know one student learned that wheat toast is not only better for you, but it is also made in a different way, so they learned how to make wheat bread. We had other students who made s'mores. They learned that s'mores inside of a car, inside of Reynolds wrap, gets way too hot. It's not safe. The chocolate was melted and running everywhere. I had other students doing s'mores on the asphalt, and so just those experiences. At Rineyville last week, they did one on air, and so they ended their day again with another community partner. They went to the Elizabethtown Airport to see the airplanes there, to meet a couple of pilots, and it was just a great summer for that. So again, our teachers came in to work those camps. Principals got all that ready before school let out so that our students would have that fun experience. And that really takes us back to that project-based learning. The problem-based learning is what they experienced this summer is what we want to have more happening in the classroom. So if they enjoyed that, they will most certainly enjoy the path that we're going to be taking.
You touched on it earlier, but with our internship, externships, co-ops, it seems like those are increasing. We've got a director over that, or a coordinator over that program. So it seems like we are placing more students getting that real world experience, something they can put on their resume that can help them not only get in college, but can also help them get a high-paying career job.
Yes. So we have an engineering pathway. So some of our students went to a local company. I think we took about 15 students. They had to interview, and they hired 6 of those students to be interns. So next year, starting at the beginning of the year, they will be interning in a pathway of engineering. And we have students, you know, we talked about working for No Land. So again, we are not just trying to find them a job to do to fill a half day of school. We are looking for meaningful experiences that will let them know, yes, this is definitely a field I want to pursue, or I'm not so sure about this, I might change my mind. Baptist Heart and Hospital, you know, they really work with our students who are pre-med and who are in nursing, and they do internships, co-op experiences there. And again, many of those people come out and go, I really thought I wanted to be a physical therapist, but now I want to be a neonatal nurse. So again, just trying to make sure we provide those experiences and learning experiences for those students.
And Baptist Health Harden is also becoming part of the program that we have at Dow with,
Yes.
with our special needs students.
Yes,
So,
and so that is going to be awesome. So we'll still have 6 students at Dow and 4 students at Baptist Hardin. And again, there are jobs that are needed, and these students fill those positions. But again, it's one of those where the adults, I think, learn even more than the students.
Absolutely.
So we really appreciate those partnerships.
well, we've got about 3 minutes left, so we haven't talked about growth. We're going.
You know, I keep hearing rumor that maybe there's going to be a little bit of growth in
a little
Hardin
bit of
County.
growth.
Yes.
So how? I mean, bird's eye view. Obviously, it's way too early to tell about. Hey, we're going to build this, and this is where we're going to build it, or whatever. But from a bird's eye view, talk about our growth potential.
No, it's really not too early. We know that the growth is coming. We know that we are going to have several thousand families moving into our area. And we also know that you can't build a school in 6 months, especially in current conditions with supplies. And we will have to start planning those immediately. We had the luxury of having Randy Poe, who was from Boone County, Kentucky, and they experienced significant growth. So he let us know the mistakes they had made and what they did to be successful. We also had Lou Young, who's Dr. Lou Young. She was from Jessamine County, so she was an adjoining county to that huge growth, to talk about what they did and how they built new schools and how they decided where to build those schools. We are very fortunate to have great relationships with our county government. They are sharing information with us, and we will continue to work with all of them to make sure that we are doing the best, you know, for our community and for our students to have those schools ready. Hopefully we will not have, you know, some of the problems. I think Randy Poe said they had 300 mobile units at one point in Boone County. We do not wish to have that to happen here, but we realize it will take a lot of planning, and we will need everyone's assistance with that planning, you know, county government, city government, Ford, SK2, Blue Oval, all of those partnerships will come together.
Partnerships, that's a big word.
It is.
It's a great
it
word.
is.
It's a great word.
John, just one other thing that I just want to touch upon is I also want our families to know we are really working with safety this year when we
Yes,
talk about
yes.
partnerships. I need to let you know that the Radcliffe City Police, Eattown City Police, the Sheriff's Office, they are
Kentucky
all
State Police.
working with us. The Kentucky State Police, which just happens to be right next door here, they are all working with us. And our SROs went to Colorado this summer, and they were amazed at how far advanced we were with our security. So we're just going to ask parents to be patient. We're going to start asking your name, what your purpose is for a visit, so you might be outside just a little bit longer. But again, it's to keep students safe. So we talk about those partnerships, and that is one more that we have spent a lot of days this summer preparing to keep our students safe.
And without going into detail, the words that I heard not only Sheriff Ward but all the other police officers say, "We will engage," and that's very comforting to know.
Yes, they will engage. There's no chain of command. They don't have to call somebody and ask permission to engage. They have been trained over and over again. We work with our staff during the summer to make sure they are trained. And then we do train our students, not to the level that we train our staff or that the police officers are trained, but we want them to know the best ways to keep themselves safe. And we want our parents to know that we are really taking that seriously and working hard for that.
See, I told you 30 minutes would fly by.
Yes, sir.
So,
I think that's John's way of telling me stop.
No, as you can tell, our district is in very, very great hands, and I'm not just saying that because she's my boss, but Ms. Morgan and our Board of Education really dedicate themselves to the betterment of students. And we are so thankful that we have not only leadership, but every member of our staff is a what can I do to make a student's day better today, has that type of attitude, and we're so thankful. If you have questions about our district, please go to our website, hardin.kyschools.us. We have social media presence. You can call us at central office, and we'll be glad to answer any questions you may have. So thank you for watching this edition of HCS Matters.